We're going to talk about two new items today, or new to me. They are not new in the Fujifilm realm at all. So I have my Fujifilm X-Pro3. I want to say this is the Dura Silver, but I can't tell because sometimes on other people's videos that I've watched, this looks more like the Dura Black, but it has the silver knobs and everything, so I think it's the Dura Silver. But either way, this is what it looks like. I did add a hot shoe cover because I don't like when those are open. And then right now, this has a Nikon lens cap on it because that's what they sent it to me with, but I have the 18mm f2, which is also a new lens to me, and I know it's an old lens. I know that. I have been absolutely loving my 18mm f1.4, which is actually what I'm filming on right now on my XM5. However, that lens is quite a lot bulkier and heavier. So if I ever just want a light carry around kind of setup where I'm not as worried about getting that super shallow depth of field, this is the lens that's a lot easier to take. Now it is a noisy lens, which is what a lot of people have mentioned about it. I'll see if I can get it to make the noise. So it's just a noisy lens, noisy focusing motor, but I think honestly it's not a big deal because most of the time if I'm out and about taking it on trips or something, like no one's going to notice that. It does make my X-Pro3 quite a bit smaller. Now I will say my preferred lens at all times for Fuji, but also on my X-Pro3 I think it fits better, is the 35 1.4, which I love this lens so much. This is my favorite lens. It stays on whatever Fuji camera I'm using like 99% of the time. So it's a little bigger than this one, but it's also still a very small lens. And while this one isn't quite a compact lens, it is still a very small lens. I would show you on my XM5, but I'm obviously filming, so I'll just insert a little clip here of what it looks like on the XM5 so that you can see that as well. I've also put it on my X-T50. It's nice. I think the X-T50 just looks funny with like a pancake lens on it, just to me. Now, I do have these two small lenses. I will say I have not had much luck with this little Viltrox lens. Obviously I knew it was going to have limitations, but I have only been able to get it to work on my XM5. All the other cameras that I try to put it on, this one, it actually gives me an error rating. My X-T4, on my X-T50, it actually tells me the camera is locked into shutter priority mode, even though I'm in full manual and everything, and I've never been able to get a fix for that. It does freeze up occasionally, but I think that's supposed to be only if you don't open the lens cap before you turn your camera on. So this would be the smallest option, which I think honestly would look a little silly on here. I don't use this one much. Now, I also have the TT Artisan 27mm f2.8, which is fine. I will say, like everybody else, the vignetting is probably the biggest issue for me on this lens. Now the reason, I think these are about similar in size, the reason I went with this over the Fuji 27 is honestly because I already have this for one thing. But if I'm using my 35 most of the time and I want something to get quite a different view, the 18 makes more sense than the 27 because I know that the 27 and 35 are different focal lengths, but they feel so similar when you use them. They look so similar that I was like, I wanted something fully different. This is also great. Like if I have this on my XM5, which honestly is what I usually use it on, I feel like if I need to take a group shot, a shot of me and my husband or something, I can literally flip the screen around, which is why I like that because I can't do that on this, and then have that lens on there and get a great, nice shot of everybody. I can also use it on vacation when we're traveling, and I have a whole video I'm gonna upload on here about all the vacation photos I got with different lenses and camera gear. I am also going to be doing a fully Fujifilm wedding coming up, so I won't use this lens for that, but I am using my X-Pro3 and my X-T4 as my main two bodies for that. And I'll show you guys all of that stuff when I get around to making those videos. Those take a little more time to edit than just a straight talking video. I have not had a ton of time to really play around and get really versatile images yet with this lens, but I'm excited to take it with me this weekend and do some stuff with it, and then I'll share more about that. But I do, as far as the camera, I got off on the lens. I'm really sorry. It's hard when I have two things to talk about and I want to just put them all in the same video. Now, as far as the X-Pro3, I do feel like I can tell that it's slower, obviously. I have like an XM5 and an X-T50 and X106. Those are gonna be faster. I know that. Having the screen to have to flip down, I understand the point. It is a little frustrating at times, which I know the older X-Pro models didn't have that. But I did want to have a camera with classic negative because I do use a lot of film simulations that use that, like classic Cuban negative and cinematic gold are two that I use a lot. So I wanted to make sure I had that in there, which is part of why I went with this one. Now this camera is weather sealed. It has 2 SD card slots. So that's why I feel comfortable using this with my X-T4 as a second wedding body. Wedding camera body, you know what I mean? But I have actually really enjoyed that I have been shooting more with the viewfinder than I ever do, just because it's easier than trying to flip this down. I do think I love the retro rangefinder styling of this camera. That is one of the reasons I love it. I love that it's meant to be a photographer's camera. It's not meant to be a hybrid camera or anything like they keep trying to do with everything nowadays. Like, I like that it's just for that. Like, yeah, you can turn video on. I've never once tried it because it's not stabilized or anything. And honestly, this isn't what I would use for video. I do agree that the frustrating thing is if you try to put it on a tripod and you try to like, because for me, I would be using like a self timer or something. And then I'm trying to like be like, okay, how do I did take a few photos earlier this week trying to do that. And it was a little challenging. But I really love this camera. It's just different. And I'm shooting on full manual, so I don't even use these dials as much as I could because I have my wheels both set up for shutter speed and ISO, and then I use the aperture ring on the lens. I feel like there's not a whole lot extra to say about this. I know it's gimmicky, but I kind of like this little screen. It worried me for a second that it didn't turn off, but I guess it doesn't really turn off most of the time. Like eventually I think it does, but it kind of just stays on. So I don't know, it's cool. But yeah, ouch, I just got my finger caught, ouch. But yeah, you do have to use the screen. You can pull it down like this, but it's only going to go that direction. It's not going to like flip around so you can't see anything. So I think, and I do know that the ribbon inside there connecting that is what people complain about having issues with more than anything on this camera. I know it's like a thing that is well known about the X-Pro3. I do know that. I'm just really excited to use this. The reason I didn't want, so I knew that I wanted to have a second like professional-esque body, essentially 2 SD cards and weather sealed was what I was looking for. I didn't want to get another X-T4 because I already only use my X-T4 when I do more professional shoots. It's not the camera I grab for anything else. And I like it just fine. It's a great camera, but it's not the one I prefer to pick up and go have fun with. And it is my only weather sealed Fuji besides my X106. I'm not interested in like the HS line or the XS line or any of those. But this one gave me just more fun options as a rangefinder, and also it's weather sealed. So if I ever wanted to go out and take shots, like now I do only have like I think 2 weather sealed lenses, which would be my 18-1.4 and then my giant 50-140. Those are my only 2 weather sealed lenses, so there is that. But if I wanted to go take photos out and about and not worry about the weather, this is another camera I could take without having to take my X-T4. Because while I love that my X-T4 has a bigger grip, I love the flippy screen. That's part of the reason I originally bought it, because that was before the XM5 was announced. I do prefer a smaller little like rangefinder style camera as opposed to like a DSLR style like the X-T4 looks. And the X-T5, I didn't have any reason to buy that either. It's more expensive. And honestly, it was going to be kind of the same thing. Like the XT line, the X-T4, X-T5, that kind of line, kind of to me, feels more similar to using my Canon camera gear. It doesn't feel as fun to me as some of the smaller Fuji cameras, like my X-T50, my XM5, X106, and then now this, and my X70, although that's a whole different range. They all feel just more fun to use. And that's kind of what I wanted in a camera that has some weather sealing, has some more just backup for storage, although really the only reason I ever care about 2 SD cards is just for when I do professional stuff, although I still use like my R8 when I do weddings, which only has 1 card slot. I still use my X106 at weddings, which only has 1 card slot. So it's not the end all be all, but I do take the majority of the photos on the camera that has 2, and the cameras that only have 1, I swap the cards out pretty often so that I'm not just doing the whole thing on 1 card, but that's just my own preference. But I'm really excited to get to use this camera more. The color is a little weird to me, I will say. Like, I'm used to a silvery silver one, but I think it looks really nice. And I want to show you guys what it looks like with the 35 on here, because I do think that's my preferred lens on this camera. I do have the square hood that comes with the 18mm lens. It's just already put away right now, so I didn't have that for this video. But I'm not much of a lens hood person, so I don't ever think to have them out. So this is what the X-Pro3 looks like with the 50mm 1.4 or 35mm 1.4, which is essentially around a 50mm. So I just think that like balances the camera a little better, and I think it looks nicer. that's just my opinion. But yeah, I've loved this setup. I've been walking around everywhere, just going on little hikes around the neighborhood and things, just this. It's made me just excited to take pictures again. And then I can also use it for my professional work. So, you know, dual purpose is great. Let me know if you have any thoughts. I'm sorry that was a little more all over the place than usual because I was trying to talk about a lens and a camera at the same time. But hopefully that helps, and I'll be sharing a lot more photos and samples when I have more, because I have a few different events coming up that I will get a lot of stuff and a lot of content. So please stay tuned for that.